today we're going to talk to you about something really cool, which is how to overcome everything. From time to time, as a business owner, as a marketer, you are overwhelmed with opportunities. And sometimes when you are marketing your business, your service, your thing, you kind of realize that the big campaign that you were betting on didn't work out the way you wanted it to. And if that was your big Hail Mary play, you really end up kind of in this state of stress, anxiety, and overwhelm, right? And all these things that were once clear become mental clutter. And so I want to help you guys overcome that, because as an entrepreneur, you are going to be plagued with a lot of adversity. And oftentimes we get overwhelmed with not only shit that doesn't work, but we get overwhelmed oftentimes with opportunities that we have, because there's so many of them. And how do you prioritize them, and what do you do first, and what if it doesn't work? What's going to be your go-to? If you are overwhelmed with opportunity, what do you do in your business? Well, it's simple. You might be stressed, right? You might have mental clutter, and you want to convert that mental clutter into mental clarity, right? You're overwhelmed. What do you do with overwhelm? Oftentimes people go, man, listen, I'm overwhelmed. There's opportunities here and I don't know what to do. And so I just sit in front of my laptop and I'm frozen, and before long I'm hovering on Facebook, reading posts, and I go to YouTube and I check my email, and you kind of get this stuck in this OODA loop of busy work, but it's not productive work that produces clients or money, right? That is a state of overwhelm. And so you have to understand there's two simple things that break the state of overwhelm. Number one is a state change. So in other words, if I'm constantly sitting here with my laptop, but I'm having a brain freeze and I've just got no creativity on what to do and how to do it, I need to change my state. Thing number two is you have to get a win. So let's talk about the first part of this. If you're seated and you have a laptop near you and you're frozen, change your state. The fastest way to do that is to go do something completely different than what you're doing there, right? So in my case, this happens to me often, believe it or not. People go, well, you probably, after doing this for so long, you probably don't get overwhelmed and stressed out and run out of ideas. I go, actually, it happens to me all the time. Now, for me, I get all my creative ideas, or I do all my creative work on my couch between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. in the morning. Call that the magic time that Craig Ballantyne taught me. Well, guess what happens? Sometimes it's just empty. There's nothing there. I've got no creativity. The offers are bland. The headlines are the hooks are mediocre at best. And so what I do is I just put my laptop down, I take my coffee to the garage with me, where I've got a battle rope, and I'll do the battle ropes and kettlebell swings, and I'll sprint up my driveway and back down, and I'll do 5 to 8 rounds of that. And guess what happens? Instantly, I changed my state. I went from seated with a brain freeze in front of my laptop to active and moving, and actually endorphins being released, right? Endorphins being released. And those are the happy hormones. And all of a sudden, as you're doing this, guess what happens? Creativity starts to flow. So that's thing number one, change your state. Thing number two of this is that you have to get a win. Now, as someone who's kind of from the fitness world, probably very much like you, if you're one of my coaching clients, well then, you want to get a win. And the easiest way for me to get a win is to do what I'm good at, right? Lift weights. And so you're going to do things that you're going to get a win in. So if you get a small win, that small win compounds to a bigger win and a bigger win. And you go back in front of your computer, and before long, you're in this place where creativity strikes you and the information is flowing, and you're able to write the ads, the funnels, the offers. So that's what you're going to do. One, you're going to change your state when you're overwhelmed. And number two, get several smaller wins that are going to compound into a bigger win. And if that means just going into your garage and cleaning it up because it's cluttered, once you're done cleaning your garage, guess what? You have a win. You just cleaned up a messy garage. And that means you did something good and productive. That's going to compound onto something else, right? So just remember that. So ask yourself, what do you want from your business? If you're looking to make maximum profits from your business, odds are one location being maxed out to as much money as you can make is going to give you a better lifestyle, because you only have one location to oversee, one team to oversee, one marketing funnel to oversee versus 2 or 3 locations. So I'm not saying don't go multiple locations. I'm just saying go to multiple locations once you are completely maxed out in clients and revenue from your first location. Does that make sense? So ask yourself, what do I want? If If you just want multiple locations to walk around town saying I'm a multiple location owner, or it feels good when you're in this group to say that, hey, I'm a multiple location owner, but you're stressed out and you're not making anywhere near the profits you could be making if you had maxed out the revenue from one location, then you probably made the bad decision, right? Which all decisions can be reversed and fixed. Short of death, there's really no big decision that can't be reversed and fixed. So let's move on. So most people say, I want money, I want more profits. Some people say, I want status, right? Status, well, it might be 3 locations. Now look, I'm all for status, I'm all for being a hotshot in your community, but do you want to be a guy or gal with a lot of status but with no money, right? I don't know, I'll take money over status any day, right? And frankly, I'll take money and impact over status even more. Now again, maybe your ego determines things differently. Maybe you look at things differently. Status means a lot to you, but I'm telling you, you can't at the expense of status have a shitty life just so you can have 3 locations, right? So just remember that. But most people want either money, status, or impact, or a combination of these 3. I'm all about money first, impact second. That's just the realities. If I'm making an impact, but I'm broke, my family's struggling to eat, my kids aren't going to the schools we want them to go to, then odds are I'm going to be too overwhelmed to make the type of impact I want. It's very much like when you're on an airplane. They say put the little breathing mask on yourself first and then help the person next to you, right? So I'm going to help myself and my family first with money. I'm going to secure and stabilize my income first, and then I'm going to go out and make a bigger impact and help everybody else. And of course, outcome and action congruency. Let's talk about this for a minute. What is outcome and action congruency? Craig Ballantyne has a lot of high-level coaching clients. These are like people making 25, 30 million a year. I have clients like this too, but the example that Craig gave me was by this person who's a pretty well-known thought leader. And he said he wanted to take his business to 100 million a year. Very doable. He's in a niche where he can make a lot of money and make a tremendous amount of impact. So Craig said, all right, what are the actions that you are taking so that you can get to the outcome that you want, which is a $100 million a year business? Well, as it turns out, he was still waking up the same time as he normally does. His diet was still the same. His life was still somewhat turbulent in his relationship with his wife. His health and eating habits and workout habits weren't any better than they are today. And Craig said, the actions you're taking today are congruent with a $25 million a year business. They are incongruent with an outcome of $100 million a year. Unless you start waking up earlier, having a better team to work with you, having a stable relationship, having greater health and more energy, you can't escalate your business to a higher level of financial success, right? So think about that. What outcome do you want out of your business today? What outcome do you want? Do you want 200 more clients in the next 12 months? Do you want to make another $100,000 a year in gross revenue? Do you want to help another 500 people over the next 12 months? If so, are your actions that you're taking today congruent to the outcome that you want? If they're not, then you have an action and outcome incongruency and you'll never get what you want. Hope this makes sense to you. So how do you get what you want? How do you get what you want? Well, let's talk about that. First of all, you have to define it. You have to define what it is that you want. Simple enough. Now, for me, I want 2,500 Fit Body Bootcamp locations worldwide by the year 2020. For that to happen, I have to take specific actions. I have to keep myself healthy. I have to make sure my relationship is strong. I have to make sure that I've got a great team around me because I can't do it alone. We do it together, right? So I know what my goal is, 2,500 Fit Body Bootcamp locations by the year 2020, because when we do that, then we are impacting millions of lives through health and fitness, right? So I've defined my goal, but I got to do something else. Then I got to do it, right? I got to do it. And that means getting my team on board with it, getting my family on board with it, right? That means my immediate family, my wife and kids, and my extended family, cousins, aunts, parents, because I might show up to less weddings and birthdays because I'm busy building the empire. So I'm gonna do it, but I have to get everybody else on board with it as well, right? So you can't just define what you want and not do it. So finally, the third step is you don't stop until it's done, right? You don't stop until it's done. You have to get relentlessly focused. You have to be obsessed with the outcome, right? Now, the fastest, easiest way to get obsessed with the outcome is to have a big reason why, right? Now, if I was just like, man, I want to have 2,500 locations worldwide by the year 2020 because that'll make me a lot of money, that's great. I already do well financially, right? I'm not a greedy person. I don't want mansions. I don't want multiple cars. I don't want private jets. That's not me. You know, give me a surfboard, give me a couple of guns and rifles to go shoot here and there. Give me lots of good food. I love food. I'm a foodie. I work out just so I can eat, right? But outside of that, money is not a big motivator to me. Impact is a big motivator. My reason why is impact. When we have 2,500 Fit Body Bootcamp locations worldwide, we'll be helping about 20 million people a year, right? That to me, that impact. I feel like I'm the ultimate personal trainer at that point. And so when you're building your business, you have to ask yourself, what is my why? If your why is big enough, it's so purpose-driven, then you're gonna define what it is, you're gonna do it, and you're gonna keep doing it until it's done. Because as with anything, as an entrepreneur, you're faced with a lot of roadblocks and challenges and adversities and failures. Those are things that are just guaranteed to happen during your journey to the outcome. There's no one path that's completely straight and safe and ready and lined with gold waiting for you. That doesn't exist. If you find it, let me know. I want it, right? But what I want to tell you is if your reason is big enough, is meaningful enough, your reason why, then you're going to keep going no matter what. And adversity just becomes something that ends up fueling you. Challenges become something that fuels you instead of fails you, if that makes sense. So let's keep going. You can't do it alone, right? You know that you have a goal of building an empire. You want to build a multiple six-figure, seven-figure business, right? If you're like Ian Weinberg, one of our seven-figure mastermind members, the guy has either 6 or 7 Ian Fitnesses throughout the Seattle, Washington area. The guy's building an empire with his brand. Like, he does not do this thing alone. It's impossible to do it alone. So you got to lead from the front. It's good leadership. So let's talk about what it takes to be a good leader, right? A good leader attracts an amazing team. When you have an amazing team, you can time collapse. You can do things that would take you a year in 90 days or so. In fact, earlier this morning, I was talking to our Fit Body Bootcamp headquarters sales team. And I said, guys, you guys notice how quickly we're growing? I'll give you an example. For example, which is a sandwich joint, they've been a franchise since 2003, right? 2003. They were a franchise a decade sooner than Fit Body Bootcamp. And guess what happened? They only have 337 locations worldwide. We've become a franchise since 2012. We've got almost 500 locations worldwide. Why is that? We have a great team. The team has a specific mission and purpose. We work together going in the same general direction. Could you imagine if the team, half of them was going this way, the other half that way, the other half this way, and the other half forward? We'd never get there, right? We'd be too busy fighting each other. But we move forward together, right? And that takes good leadership. So not only do I try and become a good leader, I'm always constantly sharpening my axe. In fact, there's a great Abraham Lincoln quote, and he says, if I have 6 hours to chop down a tree, I'm going to spend the first 4 hours sharpening my axe. The way I look at it is, I have to be a good leader, which means I spend more time becoming a great leader and less time trying to do it all myself. Because if I become a great leader, I will attract great people. And if I attract great people, I can get them on our same page. And they'll help me force multiply the outcome. So that's what I want you to do. So what do you do as a leader to get your team on the same page? And by the way, if you don't have the right team around you, you may have outgrown your team. And it's your job as a leader to constantly force growth upon your team, right? Leaders must force growth upon their team. But if you have a team member that doesn't necessarily want to grow with you, or he's resistant to growth, or has become, for whatever reason, is checked out, you have an obligation and a duty to cut that team member out for the sake of the rest of the team. Otherwise, like an infection, it spreads. So as a leader, you have many duties, and some of those duties aren't the funnest, but they do have to get done. But if you have a good team and you're a great leader, you're going to set expectations, right? You're going to make your expectations very clear. There's going to be expectations of you, like my team has expectations of me. What do I expect of Baders? We expect them to be on time. We expect them to have a vision. That vision has to be clear. That vision has to make sense. And we have to have the logistics, horsepower, money, technology to take that vision and actually deploy it, right? If I have this grandiose vision, but I don't have the resources to actually deploy it, then my team is hamstrung, right? They can't do anything with my vision, right? So it's my job to provide the resources as well. But you have to set your expectations of what you want from your team. When you do that, you have to communicate your expectations well and over again, because we're human, we forget, we misinterpret sometimes, don't we? Right? It just happens. And so you have to re-communicate your expectations over and over again so that there's clarity of vision, right? You ever look at a staircase on a foggy day, you're not really sure how high that staircase goes, but as the fog begins to clear, you have clarity of vision. You see exactly how many steps that staircase consists of. And all of a sudden you go, you know what, I can't climb that after all. That's what your team wants. The first time you tell your team anything, all right, the first time I heard a lesson, I was like, okay, I get the general concept. Now, if I start applying the lesson and I hear it over and over again, I get better, more proficient at it until it becomes automatic, until the mind-muscle connection has been built, right? Until those synapses are firing automatically in the right direction. So it's your job to communicate your expectations. I know I'm beating this one to death, but so many of you in this group must embrace the idea of becoming better leaders, because you can't do it yourself. You might get your business to $20,000, $15,000 to $20,000 a month in revenue by yourself, maybe with one team member. But to get to 50, 60, 100,000 a year or more, you're gonna need a team, and that team needs communication and has specific expectations of you, and you're going to have expectations of them, and you got to be able to communicate that. So of course you have to be able to translate the importance of meeting the expectations. So if I have this goal of having 2,500 Fit Body Bootcamp locations worldwide by the year 2020, if I can't explain why I want to hit that goal by 2020, then really the idea is, hey, what if we hit it in 2021? What if we hit it in 2022? What's the big deal, right? I want to hit it fast because I want to take advantage of this speeding momentum that we have. See, speed of implementation in anything creates enthusiasm, excitement, passion, and purpose. Think about it. The first time you come up with an idea, is when you're most excited with it, right? The first time you buy a brand new car, the first week, the first 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you're most excited about the car, you want to clean it, you want to park it in the garage. After 3, 4 weeks, it's dirty, it's filthy, you park it outside on the curb, right? The first time of everything is huge. So you want to take advantage of the speed of implementation and implement fast while everything is exciting and enthusiastic and everyone's on the same page with your purpose and passion, right? If we slow down, we will lose momentum. I understand we can get to 2,500 locations by the year 2025, right? That's almost a given at the rate that we're growing right now. But I want to force growth upon us so that we can get there sooner, faster. Why? It's more fun that way. We're going to make a bigger impact. We're going to get the notoriety that we want, right? We just became Inc. 5000. We're going to get on the Inc. 500 list. Here in 2017, we're going to get on the Entrepreneur 500 fastest growing franchise list. And I like the idea of that because that helps us get to our goal faster. So speed of implementation is important. And for you to be able to translate that message to your team is critical. Otherwise, they go, hey, we'll get there. Probably not at your timeline, but we'll get there. What's the difference? The difference is you lose enthusiasm, passion, and momentum, right? And of course, you must track and measure those expectations. From the lead generation that we do in this building, to the selling that we do of our franchises, to the content video that the guys in this very room right now help us make, right? The case studies. If we don't get those case studies out fast enough, we can't pump out enough content on Facebook to outmarket and outposition any potential competitor. That's my goal, is to make it so painful for a competitor to try and compete against me that they just go and say, I'll go into a different market, a different industry, or I'll change my offer to something different, right? I don't want competition. So the fastest way to not have competition is to go over the top with content, with marketing, lead generation, follow-up, and sales, right? Well, for me to get all that done, we have to be able to track and measure expectations. If we're able to pump out 4 case study videos this month, can we get 5 case study videos next month? Can we go 6? If I bring in another team member, can we go 7, 8, 9? And the cost of that one team member, if we go to 7, 8, 9 case study videos a month, can we then have more leads for my sales team to close to justify the pay for that one more editor or video guy, right? This is what I want to impress upon you. You can force growth onto your business. Now, it's just me, right? So I'm looking for a COO, Chief Operations Officer for my business, right? Well, I'm still looking for a good COO, but I have a CMO, Chief Marketing Officer, Josh Carter, right? I have a office manager, right? Joan. I've got a compliance officer because we have compliance issues and we have to comply to the Federal Trade Commission, Sean Kershaw. So I've got a leadership team that helps me so that I don't have to be spread thin on marketing, on sales, on compliance, on operations, because I can't do it all. So as a leader, it's your job to surround yourself with strong people, a strong team, and get them on the same page. Track and measure the results and the expectations. You'll grow faster, I promise you. All right. And of course, we have to learn to say no. This goes back to the very first slide I showed you, which was being overwhelmed. And oftentimes we get overwhelmed with opportunities, right? So you've got to become a master of saying no. You have to learn to say no to more things so that you can say yes to more valuable opportunities, right? 9 out of 10, probably 99 out of 100 opportunities that I get these days, I say no thank you to because I'm looking for that one gem, right? And I have that one gem. Fit Body Bootcamp, I have that other gem, my masterminds and coaching program, this coaching program that I'm filming this for, right? I have these things. I want to grow these things exponentially. I want you to be massively successful. For me to help you become massively successful, for me to help Fit Body Bootcamp grow quickly, for me to help my mastermind members grow faster, I have to say no to other opportunities that are presented to me so that I can say yes to the things I've already committed to. Does that make sense? So this takes discipline and structure. Otherwise you go, man, look at all these opportunities I'm getting. This is fantastic. I'm going to be rich. And you have so many things you're going to do and that you're responsible for that you just seize up. You get paralysis by analysis and you don't know where to go, right? So again, be a master at saying no to many things so that you can say yes to that valuable, wonderful, high quality opportunity that you either have been given or that you're about to get.